You're here now.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
All right, hold on.
You're all good.
Hello.
That's the lady. Oh my.
Hey, what's up?
And again, it just hits me every time. What's going on? It's like a Taraka tsunami or something. Tarakanami.
Ooh, I like your shirt.
Well, I don't know. I won't play core. This is great. I just sent you a picture on Interlam. Check your Interlam.
My Interlam.
Yes, check it.
My Instalam.
Instalam. Turns you instantly into a lamb.
That'd be cool.
Speaking of lamb kind of sounds and like ba and like do do do, like ba 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 ba, like notice picking up the idea.
Oh yeah, the Instalam.
Yeah, shepherd and sheep. Yeah. So lady, it's tough. It's like seriously, like you're actually hitting me, radiating complete selfhood. It's crazy. Like
ooh, yeah, your screen turned blurry.
I know. Can I even
like,
take it? Can I even handle it? I think I can. Okay, lady.
Yo, thanks so much for this phone. First of all, you're officially my first Zoom call on this phone.
Go. I'm happy about that. You've got the DSLR balanced on we'll put this in the post show, balanced on a yoga mat because it's sort of stable and fine.
Oh yeah, mine's like kind of on a coffee mug without coffee in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yoga mats and coffee tables or coffee mats are the secret friends of all podcasting endeavors. I set everything up there in the little back there. You got your little arrangement.
Oh my god! Amazing. It's like an altar
or something. Yeah, just to kind of get everyone all the various. Again, we talk about art objects, Taraka. Everything you make has a little bit of you, and so it's like, well, she's here. May as well to bring the rest of you here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
yeah, I don't know. I felt like kind of like I was getting disconnected from the labor process or something. Like,
yeah,
somewhere along the lines, and I was like, man, I gotta just take it back to the basics. Like,
yeah,
I miss screen printing our own shirts and gluing things on records. Yeah, I mean, Prince Rama started out like we were totally doing that shit.
Hell yeah! So this is for people who are curious.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Oh my god, yes.
So this is for maybe again because I sent you the picture you saw. It's just a temporary thing, but I finally cracked it, Taraka. I have the main show and then whatever fucking topic I want to devote an entire thing to, and it absolutely fell into place after all of our exchanges, and then going way even back to 2010 when I first encountered your tunes. It's like, okay, well, I've been having this thing, on Instagram. You probably see a couple of the different feeds follow you, and why not start a series of conversations, totally vibed out over however many years. It's just okay, the Tarot Chronicle, why not? Amazing. Okay, well, first of all,
you've been very productive. You've been starting all sorts of podcasts. You're the most prolific podcaster I know.
Prolif cast? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, but that's cool. Thank you. What I do though is it's cool. It's all sublimated, isn't it, Tarek? I think creative people. One of the things we do, we sort of metabolize our dysfunctions into really functional, kind of productive. I think we're all sort of evolved organisms that way. But what do you reckon?
On the best days.
On the best days. Speaking of
other days, just jab ourselves.
This is a bit
fucking crazy.
Non sequitur, but we talked about origins, dialing it all the way back, and I just re-listened to the record, and there's a lot of deep selfhood acknowledgement and rawness there. So I'll just bring out this guy. It's a bit trippy. So do you know who this is? This little guy? I know it's true. Okay, so this is everyone had their little teddy bear type thing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
The reason I'm bringing him out is look how fucking give me your impressions of what this thing is. What do you reckon?
I'd say it's like a baby voodoo doll.
So back in the 80s in Australia or early 90s, there was a show called Lift Off.
Welcome strangers, welcome friends. ones, short ones, and all the in-between.
And this faceless child, right? His name's EC, okay? And his name, like, it stands for every child. And so I just had to kind of, I was preparing the text and stuff. Preparing the set, and I was like, I came across, because that's sort of, I keep the Rama, I keep your stuff sort of right there, like go with just the stuff that you want to make sure it's like, hey, house is on fire, grab those things,
no.
Yeah,
that's nice to know.
Yes.
Although I bet like the layers and layers of like polyurethane that we put on those freaking furry CDs would just make it burst up into flames, just like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you know me, like my style is just toss it all in the fire, you know.
Yeah, I get it. And I mean, I'll give it an attempt. How about that? But then if it's like, if the flames call dibs, then I won't interfere with the primal natures, primal forces. But lady, how does the day find you today?
The day has found me today. I've been pretty good today. We just me and Matt just got back from a little walk. We explored a new area by our house. There's so many places to hike around here. I was feeling like a little stir crazy because I've just been in here like screen printing in my basement for like days and days on end. And I'm just like, finally released all the shirts today, and I'm like, all right, I need to like go for a walk. But then it's bone cold outside too. I'm starting to realize like our days of, you know, leisurely walks without your face just getting completely melted off are numbered. So take advantage while we can.
That's really cool. And I'm really glad when you sent the I'm trying to figure out which one to look at, DSLR or like you on the screen. Do you feel a disconnect? Do you feel a disconnect when I actually talk to your like image on the screen, or you prefer I look there? How do you feel? What is your
when you're looking down, I just feel like I don't know, maybe you're shy and you just have to look at the floor to talk.
Bashful.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's cool. Well, no, I'm
look wherever you feel comfortable. I mean, you know.
Taraka, you're everywhere. Everyone's everywhere at all times.
Right, it's true.
What a great line from Jim Henson when he was making The Dark Crystal. He's like, there's this one book I want all the crew to read, and I can't remember the title, but it was a seer, like a seeress, like a modern day like person who interprets like alien intelligences. And already, you know, this is a man who just is shedding his Muppet's shell, you know, and he doesn't want to be associated with the Muppet. He wants to tell this very dark and raw tale. And there was this seer lady who talked about the ever presence, like the everything of everythingness. And there's a line that particularly like addresses it in the story. And it's when someone dies, and then I think the main character is like, oh yeah, so no, they've died. And then the other character, Olga or whatever, she's like, oh, they're dead. Well, they could be anywhere then, you know, which is a great sentiment. And I guess that kind of segues me. Yeah, go ahead, you first.
It made me think about me and Matt watched The Crucible over Halloween, which was a play that I tried out for in high school. So I kind of know all the lines, you know. But there was some stuff about the play that I totally forgot about, and one thing they continued to talk about was this idea of witchcraft, and this idea that you can, even though the person is sitting right here in the courtroom, you could be sending their spirit out, you know, to like attack other people. So, you know, it was like this weird like spiritual court battle where their spirits are being tried. Really, they're like, well, your spirit came and did this to me. Well, your spirit came into the night and did this, you know. And it's just like the person's like, but I'm right here. They're like, yeah, you're right there, but your spirit. And it's just kind of funny because it kind of goes with that idea that like even when you're alive, it's like your spirit can just like be meandering anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. The illusion that the self is only contained to the vessel is silly. Like there are infinite. There's a line, Tame Impala, our own band, he's gone all supersonic and stuff, but one of his earliest lyrics was, count the number of beings you are. See how long it takes you, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, good old
That's
Kevin
nice
Parker. One. You should tour with Kevin. You guys would vibe, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those guys. We played like some show in Perth or outside of Perth, and I think they were there. This was like some years ago.
Cool.
They're really sweet. Yeah, I'd be down.
They're a good bunch. Well, also, I can't believe it's taken this long. I send giant energetic hugs to you and Matt. Like, you guys are some of my like core humans of like, it's a kind of nice little 12-pointed bullet point list of like reason why like planet Earth isn't so bad. It's like Taraka. Yeah, I have to say
you too. We enjoy your fashion like all the time. I feel like there's parts of you with us always, keeping us warm, and you know, like I mean, we literally like sleep with your blanket like every night. I don't know if that's creepy to say, but
that's right. I mean, Entropy, that's the design you chose. You can see it in the thumbnail for the quarantine stream, and it's like, oh, that's lovely, you know. And I mean, I didn't personally knit it, but it certainly came from me, and so then it's like,
totally,
fun. I think it's a nice throwback. I'm doing a whole postcards thing next month. Just gonna send you and Matt, just a whole bunch of people. It's like that's kind of like my vibe, is to keep it tactile, keep it tangible, Taraka, in these
totally. How's it going in Australia, man? Because like seriously, like I've gone to the post office 3 times to attempt to send your record, and there's a number of other people who ordered records from Australia, and it's so crazy they can't even send mail over there. Like, what the fuck?
It's all good. Like what I think it is about is
y'all are like seriously Jedi Knights. I just have to say, like, no, I'm serious, Albert. Like, y'all are fucking Jedi Knights, because this is some intense fucking initiation training or something.
It's trippy just to actually get the thing over, and like it's been crazy. Like I just had the old birthday. I ordered some things. I think I ordered some Ghostbusters cereal because I was feeling.
Wait, when's your birthday?
1st of November. Yeah.
Oh my god! Happy birthday! I didn't know that.
Blah.
Happy
You're fine.
Birthday.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. And I'm glad that warranted a mug clasp. It's like cool. The cozy cup.
Yeah.
I
should send you a birthday present, like a new shirt or something. Whenever you know, I can send stuff. Maybe now that the orders are open, maybe I'll try next week. You know.
That's right. But you know what's interesting is like we've sort of started riffing. It's like concurrent with the pandemic, like roughly when, you know, COVID was just about to rolling up its sleeve and ready to jump onto the world and change everything. Is you had your moment, December-ish, I think September-ish, whenever it was, 2019, and I chimed in, and that was how, if I can find the image, Albert, in the edit, don't be lazy, find that image, and I sent you guys a message, and I figured, why not? This is the first, I suppose, chronicle that's going to go out public, you know, with the feed, Taraka podcast episode 1 or whatever. And
right.
I suppose, like, I've known you since then, like, riffing, and then, like, jumped on, we did some, like, Patreon stuff, but all throughout, I found it so curious that this renewal, like I'm pretty sure that this thing of you renewing and shedding and achieving this one-for-oneness with yourself, Ray and I talked about this yesterday, is like any amount of time on planet Earth spent not being in, like, alignment is what leads to, disalignment leads to dysfunction, and alignment leads to like progress and growth and truth and all that. And I swear, I would have to look at the exact dates, but if it was April, right, or Marchish, April, whatever, like, but basically all of this happened concurrently. Like you and the world like experienced a kind of a co-shedding experience, and it just it fascinates me. And it, you know, I listened to it again, Welcome to Paradise Lost, and it's you know, well, I have you here, and that's interesting because I have my thoughts and I write my little kind of notions, and I have that all there, but and I don't want to seem trite and just like sort of sit, like cruise on that just pure gratitude. Like I do feel that, and resonance and kinship. I've said that, but you know, the whole thing flows like an entity and like a pure, honestly, your best work. It just is, Taraka. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, for me, it's commensurate or like proportionate. The majesty, the awesomeness of the work is proportionate to the self-authenticity. And being that this is your most authentic self, the music is also the best. And like fucking...
Well, it should keep doing that, right? I mean, you know, like every album you make should be like the best, your favorite. I mean, that's my rule. It's like if the album I'm making is not my new favorite album, what's the point?
Right. You know,
every album I've made is like my new favorite album, you know, so this one's no exception.
Thought I was a Prince Castles made of shadows. Come on, lady. Come on. I mean, it's trippy because like I'll still ask, and now it's gonna, Welcome to Paradise Lost added to it, but I'll still ask, and this isn't like smoke blowing, that's my adage, but I'll go, hey, Siri, play some music that I would like, and it just starts like top 10 songs End of the World or Just Now or whatever. It's like,
wow, I'm glad I'm in your algorithm.
And I'm glad that's going to be like one of the young people compliments. I'm glad I'm in your algorithm.
Yes, seriously.
But this is all to say that look, that dialogue started, that sort of riffing back and forth, which I'm very grateful for, and I consider you a friend now. Like that's right here, and Ray does too. Yeah, so the vibes. Good vibes. But
Kindred vibes.
Kindred vibe back? Okay, thank you. Beautiful. We'll hopefully end up in New York next year. That's what we want to do. December next year.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We kind of want to do
December.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Christmas. Actually, December, for New York City, December is great. After that, fucking forget about it. Yeah. It's like, Suicide Central Station. But December's great.
Well, vibes and segues and riffs and where to flow from now, because it is that moment which we sort of riffed about. I mean, every moment's equal in the big blare of now, but I will say it is a special day, to talk about this record on a show which I think we talked about doing a retrospective at one point. So it's been a long time in the making, but
I defer to you, Albert, and thank you so much for just being so patient. Like my schedule's just been so insane. I've pushed off a lot of interviews actually, where I'm just like, I actually just need to be like cranking out mailings right now. It's kind of a mind fuck running your own record label, because all these things that you used to have other people do, now I'm like, well, if I don't mail these out, or if I don't screen print these shirts, like they're not going to get made. So
that makes
what I mean, like and to me, I'm like, my alliance is with the music first, and making sure people get the records, that order records, and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, okay, I'll start doing interviews once that chills out, a little bit more, and I could just be in a more relaxed headspace, because my brain was just mashed potatoes for, pretty much like 2-3 months. It's starting to become a little more like crispy, maybe like tater tots, you know? Not so soupy. There's a little more edges, so that's positive, but it's still a little mashed potatoes, so I'll just say that,
I think starchy vegetable-based metaphors are really, really appropriate for music and the creative process. Deep fried, a little salty. Don't we share like a bunch of DNA with potatoes anyway? I think something like that, like 90%.
I've heard this.
Or bananas. So
pigs. 96% the DNA of pigs. That's why Jewish people don't eat pork.
There you go.
I didn't know that.
Wonderful.
You apparently can't eat pork before an ayahuasca ceremony, also because it shares so much of the human DNA. I think it just like fucks your trip up.
And I say wonderful. You're like, because, no, you first.
You're 96% like a cannibal, and only 4% carnivore. That's pretty crazy when you think about that,
It's another thing I think globally we're going to start seeing is pretty big vegan awakenings. Shout out to Nimai.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
For sure. I just wanted to say like this thing of when courage fails, you call to the lions. Like, come on, lady, come on. That's just really sweet. And right there. Yeah, so that goes out to.
Also, I got these little guys.
Oh, wonderful! An actual
lions. I don't know if you could see them, but anyways.
Beautiful lion circle.
Yeah. It's a lion's den in here always.
Lion's den, and I really dig how it's like. This is sort of like Nima is a Leo, right? Like.
Totally. Yeah.
I can vibe with that. I really do.
Yeah.
I like I said, omnidirectional, but. Let's actually. You gave me a couple of segues there. That's why I think at one point
great. Let's do it. Yeah,
let's do it. So you gave me your screen printing, which leads me to Rage Piece, but then that also let's talk about the show. Right. So Monsters Ball. Go for it. How was it?
It was very fun and emotional and existential as I would imagine any show is post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also just felt like kind of a miracle that it happened, because the forecast was 100% rain for like that entire day. And they were like, yeah, I mean, it's outside and we're just going to cancel it if it rains. So I was like, there's literally 100% chance this isn't going to happen. Like, in my mind, I was just kind of mentally preparing for like the one show I had planned this year to not happen. I'm like, thanks 2021. And then, what do you know? Like, the day came and the rain held out till like the very end. It's incredible.
Yeah. So that's power. I mean, you said it in your post. It's like, let's just do an anti-rain dance. And
totally. It worked.
You know what's trippy is the day of your performance, it rained like fucking crazy over here.
Oh, so we sent it over there.
We basically did. I think I knew.
Thanks for that.
As your like Asia Pacific region manager, I knew that I had to strategically weather shape, So I'm glad that worked.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate. Actually, how you said appreciate that. But then I said for shit is like, yeah. I love Taraka, the art of the misheard lyric, I swear. Also, and I want to honor this.
Yeah.
Come on, I want to honor
Billy Joe from Green Day is all misheard lyrics. I love that shit.
And there's one, it's like, I fail again. But for the first couple, I thought you may have been saying, I feel again. Oh,
interesting. Huh.
So, yeah, right?
That works too. I'm into that. That works too.
Well, you have fun in that vowel space a whole bunch. Like,
oh, yeah.
0, 0, 1. Like, you kind of open up the vowels. It's very declarative. And I mean, by the way, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I seriously, I'm like, no joke, loved Green Day so much. Yeah. Growing up, and I feel like all of those lyrics were just like, it's like, does this dude have Down syndrome? I don't understand what's happening, but I kind of love that. I don't know. It's so fun.
It's part of Ray and I's courtship, so I'm just gonna do. Who am I doing an impression of? I saw her walking down the street. Joey, gotta do Joey Ramone. Come on.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Ramones are other people. They're like,
I know.
I'm teenage up out of me. It's like, what? I know.
That's right.
So good.
Yeah. So I'm very glad to be able to. Yeah. It's okay. So
it's like Rorschach. When you do lyrics like that. And I mean, a lot of early Prince Roma was like that too, where I deliberately, because the way I kind of write songs, sometimes lyrics come right away. Sometimes. But for a while, I was just getting the sounds, and that's how it usually happens. Is like, I'll get the sounds first, almost like glossolalia or something. So you're just kind of speaking in tongues. And that's why a lot of early Prince Roma songs, it's kind of like people are like, what language are you singing? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of my own weird made up language. I don't even know what songs mean, because I just kind of left the like pure sounds the way they were. But I know what they are. Like, I know them well enough that every time I sing it, it's not just scatting. It's not like some jazz riff. Like, they're very like written, defined sounds that I can repeat every time. I just don't know what they are.
Well, what I want to say is you do exactly what I do with the patterns, which is I sort of do that sort of like giant chunk of clay of the unconscious, and it just presents itself, and then it's a process of like, oh, what is this, and then you just sort of shape each thing that it presented itself to you. You still keep it in that authentic shape, but then it's like suddenly a word pops out, and that vowel then becomes a certain, and that's, I think, gives your lyrics like a certain level of poetry, and like there's that Rorschach quality of that's I mean, it's dreamlike, really, and that's, they say like dreams are one of the like most persistent things for like the human race, and I think that the unconscious is like directly tied to infinity. So I always feel it's like, well, she's writing from infinity, really, and that's totally, I think a lot better than trying to sit down and think of what rhymes with pie. Try.
Fuck that. So many of my songs like don't rhyme, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
A lot of my songs too, like I don't even know what they're about. Like people will be like, what's this song about? I'm like, ask me in 10 years.
Yeah. And that's
because a lot of my songs are just like for my future self, and like I didn't even realize that until, after Prince Roma broke up, and I went back and listened to a lot of these old albums where I didn't know what the lyrics meant, and suddenly I'm listening to them for the first time in like 7 years, and I'm like, oh.
Well, it's all timelines.
You're singing to me now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. I know what this is about.
All timelines. All timelines are the one thing, Taraka. You know. And we had that moment before of seeing you, you know, with the studded kind of, you know, you were gluing the studs and stuff. And also, I'm so stoked. Let's do a bit of impromptu promo for your Rage Piece finals, like how you were crafting, you know, the self portraits, which I'm digging heavy on. So I guess you can riff about that, or I can kind of do my thing and just be like, here's the thing, and like go do it. Like, I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to tell people, or should I? You can just be like, this one's for you.
Doesn't matter to me. I mean, ask me a question and I'll expand on it.
Okay, well, the idea of Rage Piece, why not? I'm going to just jump you with that. Rage Piece, sure. And how that ties in with what you're doing with these self-portrait records, and take it away.
So, I mean, Rage Piece was one of those weird unconscious word combo platter, that came about during Top 10 Hits, when we were recording that, and we were thinking of these, like, you know, different band names, or, you know, like all those band names, I feel like were very much just like kind of channeled unconsciously, and so Rage Piece just kind of happened. Like, I didn't have to think about it. It was just like, okay, well, this is the band, this is the sound, this is the look. And it took me a little while into recording this record for me to realize that I am Rage Piece.
The polarities.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost like that band, for whatever reason, was like a sort of prophetic, you know, incarnation of what the kind of music, and even So Destroyed, that song, which Rage Piece channeled, is very, I feel like, synergistic with the stuff. It's almost like a blueprint. Yeah.
I have to interrupt. You were saying just now how you wrote to yourself from the future, like your future self kind of thing.
Right.
So, like, I mean, you have the band Rage Piece, which is, you know, the woman between the polarities, and then the shifting of the gears from this to that, from falsehood to truth. So that polarity, and then you also have So Destroyed, like so much of, as you said, we started the show with it, you know, burning things up, destroying it, and then going from there. It's like a little seedling, like a season 1 teaser for what would come in season 8, you know, or something.
Totally. That's what makes life exciting, is like when you see stuff like that, and it takes years to unfold. I mean, you know, cicadas stay underground for 17 years before they come up. So sometimes these seeds take a long germination period, but it's cool when you start seeing those patterns in your life. You can start trusting more. Like when things seem like they're not totally working out at the moment, you're like, I don't get it. Yeah. It all just seems like these disparate things. Just wait a few years, you know, just give it some time. Trust the process, you know.
Trust, and so keep trying. In Old Gloves, I just want to quote that back to you. It's like just keep trying and trying and trying.
Totally, and that's kind of, you know, where the record ends. There's not really a definitive solution, you know. It's like we're all here just, you know, fumbling around with our questions, and, you know, living the questions, as Raina Maria Rilke would say, is, you know, just live the questions, don't worry about the answers, they'll come, just keep trying, and, you know, that's the best we can do, you know. So I don't know, Rage Piece just felt like it just felt right, you know. Some things just feel right. I didn't really think about it that much. I was just like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Rage and Peace.
Yeah, and see, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know, there's just something about that word combo I just really...
R.I.P.
Yeah, totally.
As in, rest in peace, and then you're starting something new. It's just the level of, like, synchronicity of meetings, coalescence of meanings, and it's no wonder, like, that was the name. And when I think you first sort of teased it, or you first mentioned it to some of your, I'll just call it like the Lion's Den inner circle or whatever. I was like, I mean, you remember how I'm very unfettered when I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I was like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. When you brought that to me, and then this call to clarion call almost for tactility and tangibility in an age which is like we really do risk dissipating into just a matrix of selfhoodlessness, and Rage Piece is this grounding, truly tactile thing of like handmade. And like, you know, I did a giant trip yesterday, like reading about how there's a giant like VHS movement, like a lot of kids are starting this, like, you know, they're just sort of making VHSs again, and it's like,
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
VHS subculture, it's a thing, and same with vinyl.
I gotta sell some of those prints around with VHS record exercise taste. Bust some of those out again.
Hell yeah, I'll totally pick one up. I'm sort of starting a bit of an impromptu museum, which, you know, I
love that, the Australian chapter.
Exactly. We've got Oceania covered. It's fine.
Right.
Well, the thing is, we've jumped here and there, but how big of a fan are you of chronology, or do you like the tangents? It's up to you.
Oh no, yeah, keep it non-linear. It's all good.
Yeah, lovely. Well, I mean, Lucifer Exit. I'm just going to jump in there. So I don't know if Lynch had something to do with some of the like lyrical poetry there of like darkened rooms and like exits leading to different, I don't know, dimensions. But you know, it's funny. Go.
Oh no! You were going to finish your question.
Oh, no, I think you starting that was meant to be, and so take it from there, lady. Go for it.
Okay, well, it's funny because like, so my parents both worked on Dune, like the David Lynch movie. Like they did like the art direction and stuff. I think I told you. And so I feel like there's probably some Lynch somewhere in my DNA, but it's weird. Like I don't actually like connect with a lot of his movies.
Not overall.
It's one of those weird things where, yeah, totally. I guess maybe it's just I've never energetically connected to it, and I feel, you know, like it's a weird confession to say this because I know I'm such an outsider. Everyone loves David Lynch. They're like, what do you mean you don't love David Lynch? What kind of artist are you? But, you know, I mean, I do like, I really love Mulholland Drive. I liked some of his early student films, which I watched because he went to SMFA, the same school I went to. So of course they've got, you know, all of his stuff. And some of those were interesting, but I don't know, like, I think there's something maybe just too dark or like too gratuitous.
Gratuitous.
I don't know what it is. You know, and it's not that I have like issues with dark stuff because, you know, I mean, I love Kubrick. I love, you know, like all sorts of, you know, goth poetry and whatever. But there's something about his stuff that always strikes me as like, yeah, just slightly gratuitous.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do we need to go this far? Like, they're just like, do I feel like being fucked up for weeks after watching this? Not really.
But also the duration of his scenes, like he'll just take it that far. And I remember, again, it's not too crazy of a spoiler, but season 3 I had to just jump out a bit because I was disconnecting, and it wasn't like, oh, modern day attention spans thing. I was like, no, this is, even for someone in the 80s, like this would just
I think he's tapped into some really dark shit. Like that's palpable. Like I feel like there's like some dark sorcery or something going on with him. And my question is just why? I mean, I get like being able to explore like the dark recesses of the psyche, and I'm all for people doing that. But sometimes I wonder if there's ulterior motives with like putting this sort of stuff in people's heads and implanting these ideas. I don't know. I mean, I know I sound super like, you know,
this is
frumpy like 50s suburban like mom saying this stuff, but you know, I don't know. And some of it I just think is overrated. Like he just directed some Donovan video, who I love Donovan. I grew up, you know, listening to Donovan and stuff. And I was like, oh man, like David Lynch directing a Donovan video, this is going to be interesting. And I was just kind of like,
all right, you ready? I'm going to drop it. I'll drop the thing. So the interesting thing is that he has this transcendental meditation thing. And his writings on meditation, actually, I really enjoy. Like I really enjoy. That's right.
I do. I enjoy that stuff.
Me too. But here it is, though. Is there's a measure of there's a measure of like, you know how we talked about, like we have the snake imagery for your record of not quite comfortable, like. And what I see is that he's stepped into this world of transcendental meditation. Undoubtedly, I'm sure it's helped him personally, helped people around him, helped many others that he's inspired and stuff. But there's a teensy element of disconnect, right, with what he produces artistically, versus, you know, this aspect of, I mean, for me, the transcendental aspect is all about the unconscious. You know, it's about, and for me, there's a rigidity and a phallicness to just like enforcing certain, like, this is the scene, like, we're not cutting away like 15 minutes. And so I actually, interestingly, I think, like, to get meta about it, like with this conversation, I riff with you about linearity. It's like, what do you prefer? And you're like, I like flow. I like flow. I like, and that for me is a sense that's why I started podcasting Taraka. I just was sensing people just were not reading the room. And I, for example, basically all interviews I hate, because there's just the person and the artist, and they're just going through motions and not really saying any of the additive, whereas you and I are like multi-topic, omnidirectional, and it's like we're kind of embracing that moment of, so there's no sense of inflicting yourself with your art. Like you state, and that's, for me, it's a sign of confidence in yourself. Like you can be playful, and it's the difference between something like Mastodon and Tool. Is Mastodon, like, they let cameras in the studio, they goof around, and Tool are very closed off and they don't let cameras in. But it's like, I like that you take yourself, like, you take your art seriously but not yourself. And I think that is more in line, again, you know, nature's the almighty greatest teacher of them all. It's like nature is, you know, flows. Like there's nothing that feels like it's just sort of attacking you. It's like there's always a sort of kind of Gaia rhythm, I suppose that you embrace in how you've laid out your album. Like nothing, for example, juts out of that album. Everything is sequenced like Lucifer Exit, and then you have, you know, da da la 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 la, you know, like it's perfectly, because we've just gone through that dark, we've exited that dark Lucifer space, and then we're into like sugars and cream, you know. It's like
right. But even that song is dark in a different way.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Happy for you. Oh yeah.
Yeah, everyone says that. Like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And to me, that song is one of the darkest songs on the record.
I know.
You know,
I really dig. It's like you think
it's just dark in a different way. And I guess I'm kind of like that. To me, like, whenever I think about darkness and exploring that space, what I'm really interested in, and, you know, maybe I'm just not as brave as David Lynch or something, because, you know, I do give him props for just going right there, hitting that spot that's really uncomfortable and staying there. You know, it's a huge task. And to bring a whole crew, a whole set with you and do that. I mean, as viewers, we watch the scene for 5 minutes, but they have to do the scene probably hours and hours, and then the editing. I mean, you know, they're like, there's probably some sort of exorcism going on. I would hope so, you know, where you're getting this stuff out. But for me, I'm kind of into this, like, hidden darkness. Yeah. Where we all carry, where it's like, it's under the surface. And I mean, I think David Lynch kind of gets there too, where, you know, like LA is a perfect place, you know, that expresses this feeling where everything is so sunny and shiny on the surface, and then there's just like this dark energy underneath, but it's beneath the smiles, it's beneath the we're so happy for you, and it's like all these fake conversations you get into about your band breaking up and not knowing what you're doing with your life. And there's just like this like really pervasive, like dark cloud of sadness that no one in the room wants to talk about, you know? And like, I'm into that, you know? Yeah. I to me, some of the darkest bands are like ABBA.
Yes,
ABBA's fucking dark.
Why do you think they're the main influence for Ghost? Like this satanic band, number one influence is like Swedish satanic band, pop satanic band that are taking over. Yeah, and you hear.
Oh, I have to look them up. I'm gonna write that down.
But so Ghost and their latest song, Hunter's Moon, is it's about two kids finding each other many years later, or rather one kid finding the other. It's like, let's meet where we used to as kids, and like I will find you again. And it's written, actually, they did it for the Halloween Kills film. So you and Tobias are fated, I think. He's the guy, he's like the puppet master. Like they kill.
I mean, I'm half Swedish, so maybe,
I'm sorry, but
we'll find each other.
You have to. They kill the lead singer with every album. Right.
Oh yeah.
So Wow. So Papa Emeritus 1, he had a certain amount of makeup and blah, but then on stage at the end of the album cycle, he gets killed on stage, and then the new singer comes, but it's the same guy with the mask. You know.
Oh, that's so funny. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty shamanic.
Yeah. Stramonic.
Not quite as shamanic as.
Shamanic. Okay, cool.
Yeah, as a Mayhem, who like actually killed the lead singer and ate his brains and used Kiss of a Skull as like, you know, necklace totems.
You know, hey,
it's one way to do it.
You open the door, and when you say in the album there's allusions to not being able to go back, but Taraka, like, you've opened that door, you've gone through.
Oh yeah, I can talk about dark shit.
But all I'm saying is, like, there's a sense that everything leading up to, and this isn't being reductive, but there is truly a sense for me that everything leading up to Welcome to Paradise Lost was preparation. I mean, you could say that about like people's records and like discographies or whatever, but more than anything, I think this is like, I mean, again, not saying that your records, like, they got to me. Like, I remember running in 2012 after like crazy breakup times and just like listening to Trust Now and like hearing all the vocalizations at the start. I was like pounding that Brisbane pavement, running around the lake.
Wow. Like exercise music. Wow, that's cool.
Exercise, exactly.
Right, yeah.
But, and so then, and that can't be discounted, it can't be changed. But all I'm saying is, for me to even like, considering how close those records are to me and how authentic they ring as, for me to actually come up and say, like, it feels like this is you meeting you. Like, this is, I suppose maybe that's why Lynch maybe came up subconsciously. I treat conversations just like patterns and songs. It's like, I like to just jump places.
Totally. Yeah.
So I think the reason why he sort of came to mind is there's a lot of imagery of like of death and shifts between like the White Lodge, Black Lodge, or whatever, and dream meanings and stuff. And I think this, like, it plays, that's why it's this wonderful thing that it has this circularity of leading into once again. I mean, like, it's just one of my favorite records, Taraka. It's something I'll be revisiting to heal along with. I mean, we've used it. I've hope that's okay, like, with some of the stuff, heavy stuff happening in the background, like the day that it,
oh my god, totally.
The day it released, I just really unleashed. I was like just punk rocking around the house, like just being fun. You know,
yes.
Losing it. Also, can you see 1970s? Everyone tucks their shirts in their pants.
Oh yeah, I'm into that. I mean, hey, I've tucked into my pants.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of wearing PJs, whatever.
We should have a Rage Piece shirt called Tuck Off. And it's like, you think it's defensive, but then you zoom in and the design is just like a grandma, like tucking her. Like,
right.
Just like really.
But like the tuck off should be like also the shirt should like show you like the tuck line where you need to tuck it in or something, you know? So it's like a secret message. It's only, you know, it's tucked in.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we should like design some like clothes or something. Anyway, lady. Actually, I want to throw it to you. Is there anything just off of what we've been vibing and riffing like that naturally comes to you to want to maybe like commit to podcast tape? Anything coming to you now, or do you want to keep riffing?
Oh, I think just you know what you said about it's really encouraging for me to hear that, you know, you use the word healing with Welcome to Paradise Lost, because I really do feel like this was a very healing record for me too. Like, you know, just so much shit I went through making it, even before 2020. And then 2020, I was like, fuck, oh my god. So it's just been like, I mean, that record seriously saved my life. Like, I'm like, you know, when I'm promoting this record, it's not like, hey guys, listen to my music. I'm like, hey, seriously, we're going through some shit. I've gone through a lot of shit. I know you're probably going through some shit. If these songs can help in any way, here, please take them, you know, because I don't know, like there's something, I think one of the most cathartic thing is just forcing myself to actually vocalize some of these, like, they seem like these like cliche kind of lines when you just say them out loud, like without the music, with these like grandma cliches or something, but you know, stuff that you say in your head, or you hear people say, you know, even things like "so happy for you," or you know, "keep trying," or you know, "it's only fear that keeps you from flying," or you know, even just stuff like "total failure." Yeah, and just, you know, like being able to like chant that so many times it becomes a mantra, and it actually becomes liberating instead of triggering to hear it. You're just like, yeah, man, like, fuck trying to succeed in this broken system. Like, failing is actually like the ultimate rebellion in a weird way when the system is so fucked. Like fail, being able to go through that I look at these different songs as like threshold dances. And that's why the first panorama is called like threshold dance. I feel like there's like these different thresholds you have to like kind of go through, and the song is like the dance you do in the threshold, and then you are able to move through it kind of. And I feel like that failure threshold was huge for me, especially after Prince Rama broke up. There's like this feeling of like, well, what have I been doing with my life? Like, am I just like a total failure? And like, what was this all for? And and I feel like but being able to just like, that was a very uncomfortable place. Like, that's like my David Lynch uncomfortable place is reckoning with that. And I think it is for a lot of people, but you ask yourself, well, what are these standards that you're holding yourself up to? And in a weird way, our obsession with perfection and success and getting ahead in life, these are all the things that actually keep you from meeting yourself. Yeah. It keeps you from authenticity. It keeps you in this like fragmented, like hamster wheel, always chasing state. And so as soon as you can just be like, what if I just admit to the thing I'm the most afraid of and just be like, yeah, okay, fine. Well, if this is like how this makes me feel, then I don't want to succeed at this. I give up. I fail. And that's such an anti-American thing to say, like it's so anti-capitalist and so anti-everything we're taught is to like want to be a failure, But if you can get to this place where you can make love with failure, then it's like, I don't know, a door kind of opens up. And for me, it was very much like this album was like made through the threshold of passing through failure and being like okay with it. And even being okay with this album being a failure, it's like, I mean, maybe this album is like going to be a total failure too, like whatever, because I think every other album was like, trying to achieve some degree of success and, whatever. But with this album, it was just very different. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be about something else. Instead of making it about external validation, I just really wanted to make something that I liked. Songs that I could listen to when I was going through a hard time and feel very comforted by them. I wanted to make songs that were like my best friend in times of need. An album where I didn't have to feel like I needed to pump myself up in order to be able to listen to it or like be in a good mood. I just wanted it to accept me as I was. And I feel like I've achieved that. And to me, that is success. So anything else that happens, like, I don't fucking care, and if it can help other people feel that, then amazing, icing on the cake.
That is what I now, however many years into like conversations but also podcasts, you have found the heart of the episode, like of the conversation, like you've stated the thesis. And I love that, and I love you, all right, and I love Matt, all right? And Ray loves you too. Okay, come on, like if it isn't about that ever ongoing pursuit of authenticity, which it's interesting, is like authenticity is something that is sustained, not directly found, and then that's it. I found my authentic self. It's like, no, you have to, you find it.
You have to keep practice. It's a practice, man. That's why there's that song, "Practice Makes Perfect," And it's like all like the maggots underneath the rotting wood kind of sound.
So what I would say to people maybe tuning in, and I'll throw it to you, Taraka, it's like Taraka just made herself into a record, and then that record became like a best friend, as we should all keep ourselves as best friends. Like you actually created for me, that's like this physical object, this sonic art, visual art object is like you, and then you are your best friend, and it is your best friend. And so there's no more trying to be, it's just there. And I love that. Even though there's this thing of keep trying, there's interesting, some of the imagery of Deep Hollow, the video, so evokes Empire Strikes Back, with how it's like that scene is steeped in, there's, do or do not, there is no try kind of thing. And again, there's a reason why Adage is like, it's brave for me, Taraka, that you chose not to contrive, that you addressed what you were feeling one-on-one. And when we're at a certain hit a certain place, like the most timeless adages come to us, which have become equated with cliche, but are not. They're just timeless.
Right.
Like, those are the pillars of humanity, like rising up to like push you back up to being who you are. And
right. Know thyself was like inscribed in the, the Temple of Delphi, and that
right.
was, thousands of years ago, and still something, it's a challenge every day, right?
Yeah. When Ray was climbing those steps, because we went to Delphi.
No way.
Yeah.
Amazing.
2019.
Wow.
It's trippy. So we did that. And, again, your Rage in Peace, and it's still, I think I have it here. Sonic Siblings. There you go. You guys, total Sonic Siblings were coming out. And so this is the soundtrack of 2019.
Oh, cool.
Then there's a lot of coiling and snake imagery there as well with tooling.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah. In terms of like historically, like it was, and then Greece as well. So it's like where I was in Greece listening to, like going to Delphi, and then like within months of each other, it's like riffing with you on Instagram, and then know thyself. Like it's just I have you heard the phrase apophenia, by the way, Taraka?
That sounds familiar.
So apophenia is the human tendency to perceive meaning in patterns where there is no intended meaning. Right? Apophenia.
That's a good word. I'm going to write that word down.
Okay.
I like that.
Apophenia. A-P-O-P-H-E-N-I-A. Yeah. And so I did a short film about it, I think, in uni. But anyway, what I love is that you have an instinct as an artist, as an omnidirectional artist who's whatever career, like creative path, it's very Zappa-esque. It's very like there's never any yeah, I love him too. Don't you eat that yellow snow? Yeah,
he's got the best interviews.
Yeah,
he does the best interviews.
I often felt like when I just, those are the chats where I would want to jump in and be like, screw any conventional interview structure BS, like just riff with that guy. Like he's ready for existence. Like he is totally an existence vessel. So that's you, Taraka. I see that this is like this a continuation in many ways. Like I like how you've been referring to like threshold dance, and it doesn't feel like, even though there's been a shifting, there's a steep drop of deepening of authenticity. Like you are in this realm now of self, which is like very just engaging and dynamic and really fucking awesome to think of where you'll go from here, because this is like a whole other spectrum, like 00100. You've escaped the matrix. Like what the fuck? I love it.
I met that dude.
Yeah.
Or I talked to him on the phone. Yeah, the guy that created those like first videos where I heard that sequence. So weird. So what an awesome, bizarre. It was like talking to the wizard behind the screen in Wizard of Oz or something. It's so cool. But thank you, and I mean honestly that means so much, because I feel like again that was my main intention with this record. It wasn't about achieving some sort of commercial success or anything. It was like, okay, how can I just like because I felt like an empty shell after Prince Roma. Like I just realized the futility of putting so much effort into wanting to make other people accept you, and I'm not ashamed to say that, and I feel like more artists do that than they'd probably like to admit. But of course it's like, every Prince Rama album, there's just like this degree of it's just like this outward thrust, and there's like no self-reflection afterwards. And so after 10 years of that, I just felt like an empty shell. I'm like, who am I? And people had this relationship with the music that I didn't even have. Like we would release a record and it was like very unsentimental, like a snake shedding its skin doesn't really go back and look at the skin. I would never listen to any of my old records. I never watched any interviews. I never watched music videos after the first time. I would be like, okay, cool. I didn't spend any time really reflecting about that. And I guess some of that is just the time and place thing. I mean, we were on tour like probably like 200 days out of the year. There just wasn't a lot of time for that. It just felt like this machine that just kept going and going and going. And, you know, at the end, I mean, when I made that, like, last 7-inch, it was like, oh, fuck, you know, I can't make a solo album until I rage peace with this. Because I realized at a certain point I hit this block, Albert. You know, it was like the album was pretty much finished, honestly, in 2019. Almost. It was like I'd finished writing most of the songs. And then I just hit this block. I was like, fuck. I still don't know who I am. Why am I hitting this weird block where I don't know who I am? And I realized it's like I was trying to put out like these fruits on the tree without any roots. I didn't know what my roots were. I'm not getting any nourishment from this foundation I'd already kind of established. And, you know, again, like the past is the future is the past.
No roots, no fruits.
Know yourself. Yeah, and it's like if you don't know yourself, your past self, and make peace with your past, you're always going to be running from it. The future is just going to be one long marathon trying to run away from yourself. And I don't want that, because I felt like that was what Prince Rama was. And I'm like, if I do another 10 years of that, it's going to kill me. You know, I don't want to do music like that. I don't want this to be music for me. And I was already getting back into like these old patterns that I didn't really like. And I'm like, okay, you know what?
Small glove.
I'm going to go through.
You know?
Yep, exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And it was like, I need to go back and listen to every one of these albums for myself. I did it very ceremoniously, you know. I like, you know, made it like a ritual, you know, like candles, you know, just like be alone in my room and just like, you know, put on headphones and really go back to that place and let myself just like whatever emotional responses come out, just, you know, make sure no one else was in the house, like, Matt, go, because I'm going to be very loud. I mean, I probably could have made a record of just me crying to everyone. It's like Threshold Dances, the crying record, and it's just like me crying to Threshold Dances. Setland, the crying record, me crying. I mean, it was just like so much emotion because I hadn't listened to these in years, and it was like, it was almost like I needed to do that to find myself, you know. And I feel like through doing that, I did kind of feel this reconnection with, there was like a, you know, you don't know that you're going through a labyrinth until you can zoom out and you can find the thread, and you're like, oh, here's the thread, oh, I can see how that connects to this, and oh, that's so interesting. And just seeing these conversations even between albums, I'm like, oh man, like that song was a precursor to this whole thing that happened over here, and I didn't even realize, you know, like I listened to like, you know, I don't know, like Mastodon or something on Threshold Dances. I'm like, that is like the precursor to the stuff I was doing now, you know. And it just little things like that where you're like, okay, wow. And a lot of laughter too. Like sometimes you're just listening and you're just like laughing. You're like, this song is so like retarded, you know. Like I can't even believe it. It's like totally ridiculous. And yeah, I don't know.
They're very goofy. I mean, I will say some of the earlier records, you know, there's
super
like
goofy.
Son of Bees. I mean, I love Son of Bees. It's just,
oh yeah, that song's heavy, man. Like that song was definitely one of those ones I was like, oh my god.
I know. So I want to say, I'm gonna jump in here. Listen, lady, like,
yeah,
the idea of this chronicle now, which, man, Ray and I were talking about, it's like, I don't know if it's a Scorpio stubbornness thing, but I, in my own mini way, nowhere near on the scale with what you've done with, you know, where you're at with, like, you know, art-led life, you know. But I myself went through a bit of a shed. You experienced some of that. I would jump in, jump out, contact, blah, you know. But now this thing is like, I actually don't give a fuck. Like I have one fucking template of thumbnail. I will never grimace or do any of that fucking leering shit in thumbnails. I'm just gonna have worthwhile conversations.
What are you talking about?
Oh well, you know, on YouTube, it's all about the, you know, like you have to like ham it up for thumbnails and shit, you know, when you're doing YouTube stuff. And so then I just, see, it's what a blessed thing that you were unaware of that. That's great. But in this podcasting space, there's formulas are sort of thrust upon you, and it's, oh wow, like once I really clicked with like what I'm going to do, and like there's almost a 4-hour chat I had with Richie Beckett, who's like the album artist for like a lot of, like he did some Metallica stuff, Mastodon and stuff, and the whole conversation, it's just like human beings, you know. And I think there's a humanity to what you've done with your latest work, you know, Welcome to Paradise Lost. And then it's so funny, you talk about Dune. So right now in the ethosphere right now, there's Dune, you know, Villeneuve's Dune.
Right.
And I need to share this with you. It's just like Apophenia. I was getting, because we do a Dune thing as well. And his producer, Villeneuve, you know, you and Villeneuve are actually kindred, connected souls. And I think, again, you're weirdly fated to one day meet in some way, because his whole ethos is like we're going to start witnessing it. We're actually, like, you with this record in your space, you're going to start seeing the Psycho Castle kind of crumble in a way. And we're seeing a bit of that with like the conveyor belt filmmaking of Marvel and stuff. Like Dune, the success of Dune is symptomatic of, ready, this is it. It's basically art as commerce. So there would usually be this, and his producer said that I was just chilling doing admin, and he was like a Blade Runner 2049 conference, and his producer's like, well, you know, given that Mr. Villeneuve's approach is always his art is his commerce, I just like stopped, and I was like, Taraka,
that's very Warholian.
Her art is like, everything worthwhile comes as a byproduct of the authenticity. And this is Lucas, who went to like hospital in the 70s on the set of Star Wars because the British, you know, grips and like set designers were like, sorry Luke, sorry George, we can't do 3 Death Stars, we can only do 1. You know, like he had a full-on breakdown with the fact that like, but he was at all times like uncompromising and saying like, this is, and you know what happened? Like after he made Star Wars, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. He said exactly what you said. It's like, I actually don't care. Done these film school student stuff, THX 1138, American Graffiti, and he just said, look, this is my embracing of a Campbellian timeless concept. This is my take on it, and I think Welcome to Paradise Lost is fucking Campbellian as fuck. Absolutely how it loops
I love
back on
him.
itself.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my faves.
Mm-hmm. And he actually he said, so I did this, and then like his friend, like I think him and Spielberg were on like a beach where he was fully anticipating like my career is over. It's like but I'm glad that I made this one last thing. And then George Lucas, like he was like, I'm done, you know, like I'm just gonna, whatever this, like I'll take the fallout financially. Fox had completely jumped out of it. They didn't make any toys for it because they're like, this is dead in the water. This is complete bullshit. And now it's, like I said, like it's the rest is history. But so there's something so sacred about the truly not contrived, not performed, the true not giving a fuck, which you have embraced with this. And there's no formula to it. Villeneuve said this is like, I just don't care. I was like, I did these shots, I made this film, and whatever, you know, like I'll know that it's something for me. And it's regularly Taraka, like that's the adage, is just art first, authenticity first, and then success. Everything that comes is a byproduct. And I was listening to Viktor Frankl, you know, the audiobook of Man's Search for Meaning, and at the beginning he's like, I didn't want to put my name on this book, like it's a bunch of Holocaust stuff, like I just wanted it to be the focus on that. But he would get interviews based on him just giving an authentic telling of a human, of his humanity. And because you're this person who absorbs and is so omnidirectional with like, and I know your mixtapes and everything, like you are such a constant metabolizer, like an organism out there, just like taking all of this existence and art and selfhood and lessons in, and then the
like an earthworm.
That's right. And well, you know, it's crazy. And doing these things that they process in, like the spice that comes from it connects space and time. And so what you do, this digestion, creative output is sacred. It's like divine. And that you do that as like a facet, as just a sort of aspect of who you are naturally, like you've tapped into what nature does. Like that's the cosmos. Like it takes in existence.
Sacred shitter. Yeah,
you're a sacred shitter. Shits it out. Feasting and shitting existence. So it's all a big multi-tiered shitter. But yeah, like this big kind of elaborate statement to just say like, you're living true, living real. Yeah. And here's to that. Like what a great
trying, man. Yeah, I mean, you
unrefined.
Just like riffing on what you were saying about, you know, like the Lucas stuff. Isn't it crazy too how you know, like Joseph Campbell did that whole interview with Bill Moyers, like on like the George Lucas, like ranch. It's pretty, or Skywalker Ranch, whatever it's called. I don't know.
Rage Piece Ranch. I just want to see it.
I fucking love Star Wars. I'm a super Star Wars fan. Yeah, okay. I even like the new ones. I don't care. I'm into all like hero myths and stuff, you know.
Well, it's timeless. Yeah. So
and anti-hero myths too. Like we're just watching The Sopranos. I've never seen that before, but
I haven't seen it.
It's intense. Yeah, wow. But it's like such an amazing like anti-hero kind of myth.
It's like, why do I love this man? Why do I hate this man?
Yeah, exactly. Like you kind of like, you're like, man, like this guy is like seriously a piece of shit. Why am I kind of weirdly attracted to him? You know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
we experienced that. You know, talking about these contrasts, this anti-hero rage piece, you know, you actually use it as a verb, Taraka. I like to pull that, I'll reflect that back to you as like as a friend mirror. You rage pieced through something, right?
Yeah, you have to. You can't make like this whole myth of like making peace. I'm like, well, what is that? How do you make peace? And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a fiery person or something. For me, peace doesn't come through just sitting and staring at a wall. Like all glories to David Lynch and his $300.
So rage your way to it.
You know, transcendental meditation instructor, whatever. But I'm just like, I don't know. You have to kind of rage peace. You have to work for it. You know? Yeah, totally. Like I think there is like a certain level of like anger that comes about when you're really doing the deep digging. You know, anger is one of those layers you kind of go through. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like a transmuter. Like you can use that fire to like transmute that darkness. You know, rage peace with it. So when you're feeling angry about something, you don't have to be dislocated from your anger. You don't have to feel bad that you feel angry. You can feel angry. Just rage peace with it. You know, channel it. I think that's what draws me to stuff like punk rock, you know, and like revisiting all these records that meant so much to me when I was a teenager. Is just there is this aggression that was so freeing.
Yeah, pure.
Yeah. It's not directed at anyone. It's just aggression for the sake of like just getting it out.
Itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Just getting it out.
Ride or die. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's just like those chords. Also, I want to show absolute like, you know, this is the thing is you talked about people connecting with records of your past that you had this not indifferent, but like, like dispassionate way of just like, okay, you put it out, but you have a chord set, if I may say. I have to still probably, you know, edify myself about like particular song meaning. I've done some digging into like music theory and stuff, and like as an example, the Star Wars theme. Ready? It's like someone's life, and then there's something big that happens, and then a dip, and then a resolution. That's it. This is just cool. I know John Williams. Like he put the hero's myth into the song.
That's like into amazing. I love that.
Resolution. And go.
Figuring it out.
Exactly. So you on some unconscious level, even if this level of one-for-oneness with yourself, of just you, like not even looking at the mirror, like walking into it and then just melding in, it's just you. That's what this record is. Even then, there were crumbs, as you said, like leading to this, which is what people caught on to. And there's a certain, I don't know, I guess all musicians have a certain, you know, sonic home that they make. And I hear like, like there's a beautiful and resolution, like it's a Taraka-ism, Rama-ism. Anytime I hear that, I'm like, that's, you know, you've made your home there. So you've made your home.
Well, signature sounds. Yeah, I have some chords I really love.
I love it. So, and I just want to, again, I mean, because I remember they're like the music is listening. So, because we're talking about it, it's in the room with us. So, I just want to.
Conversation's part of the music, you know.
It is, and
it's funny too, because like I'll hear other songs sometimes, and I'll be like, oh, this sounds like a song I would write. Because I hear that chord signature, you know, and I'm like, oh man, they're like on this. But it's cool when you hear that, because like to me, it's less like, I don't know, some people get pissed off because they're like, oh, like everything's just so derivative. But a lot of these songs I've never even heard before, and I'll hear it like, years after I wrote a song that sounds exactly like it for the first time, and I'm like, oh man, we were there. We were in the same field, scrounging for the same little flowers and berries, and we didn't even know each other. That's so cool. To me, I just hear that stuff, and I'm like, oh man, like we're best friends,
Yeah. It's affirming. It's like even across time, there's another band, maybe they're very so they created their name with one of the earliest name generators. Like it was invented in the 70s. It's called Bachdenkel, Bachdenkel, Bachdenkel. And when I was listening to it, Bachdenkel, but and I was listening to them, and it's so crazy. I'll hear something that just evokes, I don't know, like Howard Shore from Lord of the Rings or whatever, and it's like, and I think that is I only feel celebration. There's no possess. I see you've transcended. You've gone beyond the notion of like ownership. It's just like you're accessing these timeless sounds. Like, 0010110 was written at the dawn of time. It will be written 10,000 years from now, and it was never written. It will never be written. It's everythingness. And
that song's funny too. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so when I first heard that sequence, my friend Tim like sent me this video. He's like, "Yo, have you ever heard this like 001 shit?" I'm like, "No." So I was like listening to it, and it really did feel like, that moment in the Matrix when the computer's like, "Wake up, Neo." Like it felt like a future version of myself talking to me. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And that sequence felt so familiar. I'm like, "Why does that sequence sound so familiar to me?" And the first thing that popped in my head was the song I hadn't thought about since I was like 6 years old. Do you guys ever watch the show Arthur?
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If you can learn to work and play and get along with each other. You got to listen to your heart, listen to the beat, listen to the rhythm of the street. Open up your eyes, open up your ears, get together and make things better by working together. It's a simple message and it comes from the heart. Oh, believe in yourself, for that's the place to start. And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Learn to work and play and get along with each other. Hey! What a wonderful kind of day. Hey! What a wonderful kind of day. Hey!
Hey, DW! Hey!
Oh,
PBS.
Walking down the street, like that.
Like Walker. Yeah, Arthur. Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this episode. Where they were doing this, kind of show tunes number about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And they're like, "'Cause I was Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll."
Turning green, feeling mean, it was like in that story. I was acting strange, quite deranged, it was pure allegory. Allegory, a story where the characters stand for abstract ideas. For example, good and evil. 'Cause I was Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll. Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde. Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll. Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde.
Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde. I'm like, wait a second. 0010110. I'm like, am I going crazy? I was like, wait a second. This sequence, there's like, that's one of those weird, maybe it's apophenia. Apophenia. I'm using this in a sentence.
There's a lot of meaning here. You were meant to encounter that. That's amazing.
That's what I mean, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, whoa, this is connecting things. But yeah, I think a lot of these songs on this album especially can be traced back to, childhood TV show songs, because it's like the deeper you go in your subconscious, suddenly you're in Sesame Street land, you know, writing songs about the letter V. And it's kind of trippy and amazing, you know? I mean, that's spellcasting right there. Like, that's magic. When you really think about it, it's like magic's just spelling. And we've become dislocated from, you know, that original kind of magical relationship with letters, you know? And that's like why, you know, even your shirt, it's like, I think there was like a part of me when I made the shirt, I was like, I want to reclaim my name and just get into like the magical meaning behind each letter, and like seeing runes that correspond with it, or like, you know, alchemical symbols, and you know, just be like, okay, well, what, you know, I say this name all the time, and like other people say this name all the time, like what are they invoking? What are we invoking with our words, with our names, you know, with Albert, with, you know, Taraka, with any of these things? So
you and mine's names are inverted. Yours starts with a T, ends with an A. Mine starts with an A, ends with a T.
Oh yeah,
Trippy. It all has meaning. And then Matt with that double M. You know, I mean, this goes into like some of the symbols like web design and I will be. It all has just begun. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Also, I don't say it as like a platitude or whatever. Like, actually, when I see you, and it's tied in. I always try to make sure I pre-frame it. So when I see you, it's like you do not age. Like, there's something very strange how it's like you've made your home creatively in this timeless space where you get your lyrics and stuff from and your music, and so it's like, but now you live there, and so in that suspended timeless time
suspended adolescence.
No, well, I guess to some degree. I mean, what is like a functional integration of the childishness? I like the idea of childlike, not childish, you know, like I just think and you kind of that childlikeness, like you as I say this about Ray, it's like what's going on, like you actually accessed eternity, and I find that when you do things like remember that one show, it's like that's not a sign of inability to grow up. It's like you're just integrating all your timelines, and I genuinely think it's how you stay like a vampire. And you're wearing a lot of red lately, and you actually are slowly admitting to the world that you are a vampire. So ageless. Well,
yeah, and I also just don't function during the day. I mean, you're catching me at night because I don't do anything during the day. I don't go out of my house. This is my feeding time, you know.
This is feeding time. So Matt he's all locked up, and he's got because he's the werewolf, right?
He's also like 500 years old. Yeah,
he is Charlie. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see you guys. That'll be rad.
Well, that means a lot. I definitely feel like, I don't know, me and Matt, like we joke around, we're starting to look like our winter selves, which is very haggard and frumpy, and you know, like
bring it on.
Like, but you know, you gotta embrace it. If you can't like my winter self, you don't deserve me at my summer self, you know.
If you don't love me at my something,
frumpiest.
The frumpiest, then I'm gonna dumpiest you. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was trying to think like what rhymes with that.
Me too.
I don't know.
Yeah, see what I mean?
I'm not that kind of poet. Some people can just like rhyme shit. I'm like not that kind of poet.
No, neither am I. I think embracing, again, there's a lot of on this record of embracing little, you know, imperfections, you know, keep them in. You know, I think you guys have some energies with Animal Collective, and they also have a great a great functional relationship with dipping into. I mean, a lot of people describe, like, when I listen to Animal Collective, I feel like I'm like eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich, or, you know, I have specific, but long before I ever encountered your music, I was listening to, which one was it? I actually had some notes really quickly. I don't know how much of this sort of multiple timeline stuff you're into, but listening to either it was 001, 0110, or I think it was Sad Blue Eyes, and this thing of you describing like your own, you have green eyes, you know, stuff. I pretty constantly, I have this weird thing where certain passages, even just a passage in music, will actually open up a mental window into another lifetime. And I actually had a flash of like being on a road trip in like Greece in the 80s, listening to that song. Like, do you ever have
which one?
Well, I think it was Sad Blue Eyes. I think it was.
Oh, cool.
And because I
that sounds like a cool timeline to go into.
Do you have alternate timelines you sometimes glimpse, prompted by either like the taste of a certain food or whatever? Or...
Yeah, like every time period, but now, yes, basically.
yeah.
No, I mean, I was describing this to this other person the other day because I don't know. I just like kind of stumbled across this Italian band on Bandcamp because he wrote me a message and sent me a song. And I try to listen to songs. Like if people send me their music, I try not to be that asshole, you know.
Yeah,
I'll, like,
that's kind of
you know, take a moment and listen and stuff. And you know, usually I would say like 8 times out of 10, I'm like,
yeah, I know.
keep going, cool, you know. Because the thing is like, well, who cares what my opinion is? I'm just fucking one person, you know. Like, there's so much good music out there that you know, it's not my taste, or like, you know, plenty of people like David Lynch, whatever. And I always tell them that too. I'm like, dude, like, please don't put me on that pedestal. Like, I'm just a dude.
I'm not the arbiter, you know.
Yeah, totally. But this song, I was like, wow, I'm actually really fucking into this song, and so much so I just downloaded it and kind of lived in this song for like 2 weeks. I just didn't listen to anything else. I was like, no, this is. It did feel that way. It felt like there was like a world within this song. I'm like, no, I want to keep living here. You know, like, there was just something in there where I was like, yeah, like, I just want to live in this world.
Do you know the band or the artist?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like Lourdis Rebellus.
Lourdis Rebellus.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. But there's an amazing music video. I think it's called like Rimini. That's a song I really like. But the lyrics are just totally like, it sounds like an AI translation of drunken slurring. Like, it's just the most random combinations of words, but it's pure poetry. I fucking love it, you know. It's like 100% asshole evening life, you know.
I dig it. Again, another thing of your, I suppose if you're going to pie chart it, why not? We can get a couple of these on, again, podcast tape. If you are this omnidirectional omnivore of existence, art and stuff, if we look at the pie chart, would you say it's mostly, is it just your own thoughts, your own experiences, music, movies? How much kind of occupies each one, or is it constantly in flux, where it's like the intake? Well, the intake, you know, that then creates the output. You know, what is that for you? Is it films?
Gosh, I mean, it changes so much. Like,
see what I mean? Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, honestly, like, Albert, this idea of balance is something I struggle with a lot. Especially, you know, I guess when you're a full-time artist and you don't have any other career, you're kind of like forced to be in this place where you just have to obsess over yourself all the time, because you're always thinking about marketing, or like, you know, how to promote this and that, or like, you know, emails, or and I'm like, oh my god, can I just listen to anything other than myself, you know? Like, I just need like other stuff. And then there's other times where I'm all the other direction, where I'm only like listening to other people's stuff and watching movies and going to art shows, and I kind of forget myself. And at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I'm like a sponge that has been saturated. I'm overflowing. I need to go back in my own zone. You know, it's like you get hungry for it. Like, I really do. I feel like, I don't know, I imagine it's what like a drug addict feels like when they've been away from their drugs for too long. They're like, man, I seriously feel nauseous and like depleted. Like, I'm not going to survive unless I go. And then I go strum my guitar for like a few minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm back.
That's
back,
good.
baby, you know?
Baby.
That's why, I mean, to me, it's like, it's really not even like, some people are like, how do you choose, you know, how did you choose to be an artist? I'm like, what do you mean? How did I choose? Like, I'm like non-functional at anything else. This is the only thing I can do. I've tried, man. I've tried working like normal jobs. It just doesn't work. I'm like a totally like dysfunctional human being if I'm not doing this. So, but I will say too, it's like, I don't know, in an ideal world, there'd be like an equal amount of like taking in and putting out. Films are very inspiring. Listening to other people's music is really inspiring. You know, I don't think people understand how important it is to just get inspired. Yeah. You know, when I have friends just like send me random, even just like a random song here and there, like someone texts you like, you know, oh, check out this song. I'm like, thank you. These are my vitamins for today.
I dig it.
Seriously, like this is like as important as taking vitamins. You know, it's like you feel like your soil is just depleted if you don't put stuff in it. You have to like nourish the soil, because that's what, you know, things are growing out of that. So if your soil is depleted, you're not going to grow shit. You know, that was a very long-winded way to answer your question.
I dig it. And the reason why so funny, you said soil, I said I dig it. All right. You get to be Daggy. Hey. Brilliant. Now I like how we're starting to do circular imagery, because it's sort of an allusion to like looping back. I think all of this conversations loop back on themselves, all of this art loops back onto itself, and then again it just becomes this infinite thing. And so you're an infinite gift, this record is an infinite gift. Okay,
you're an infinite gift too, Albert. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for like you asked very thoughtful questions, and I can tell that everything you're saying is like coming from a place of like deep digestion, you know, which is not, I mean, you know, as someone who does a decent amount of interviews, it's rare to have an interview where it feels like this. I feel like most of the time people are just, you can tell it's their job, and they looked up some shit on YouTube 5 minutes before, and they're like, I don't know. I'm like, what? Like, this feels like a waste of both of our times.
Well, that's lady. What is so fascinating to me, Ray and I talk about, it's like just how willing people are to just straight up abandon their humanity in weird contexts where the humanity would be most welcome, you know. And one is I think I saw it once. It's like never have. Always, I don't use the word interview. I just go, it's conversation, and it's not confrontation. You know, because interviews are very, you know, disconnected. And
see, I see. Even if you break down the word interview, though, like check it out. It's like interview. It's almost like you're both going into this view. Yeah. And that should be what it feels like, right? It's almost like you're both like going into this collective viewing space, and like you're sharing your point of view, I'm sharing my point of view, and then our views together make this like interview.
See, let's redefine that shit, Taraka. Come on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll be putting.
But you're doing a good job.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Really.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will be putting some clips of this on your Interlam. We have a thing. It's just after a while you say certain words enough. We just corrupt it. It's like okay in the house has become ote or ode. Yeah.
It's like Little Rascal style. Ote. My sister used to watch that a lot. Yeah.
That's rad. I want a full 4-disc concert record based on Rascals, Rugrats, and a couple other and Arthur.
Wow. Yeah, Arthur. The songwriting was just incredible. Incredible. I want to like that. That's my dream. I think, you know, retirement wise, that's what I want to do if I retire. Just write songs for children's shows. You know,
Taraka the animated series. I could see it.
It's so great. I love it. Yeah, not even for my own, just for other things. Whatever.
Hell yeah.
You know, for Big Bird.
Yeah. I'm going to put a few things out because, again, sound waves have power. You'd know that with music and all that. And this will go out in a fashion similarly. Like nowadays, the podcast apps are directly connected. Like you'll have, recent things. And it'll be like, Welcome to Paradise Lost. And then the Taraka podcast will be like, I'll send you a screen capture or something. So what I'll say is Rage Piece is one of the things that not to get too grandiose, but one of the things that artists of all across like the creative spectrum, they don't even know just how much, like when they come across it or come into it, or they become a Rage Piece artist or a Rage Piece on the Rage Piece label, whatever. If this chat, you know, now I'm addressing listeners, if this conversation saw its way in any fashion to making you, first of all, go to Taraka's shop, get a Rage Piece shirt, right? She has explained this extremely worthwhile endeavor, which is, you know, and I'll jump in, I'll do the producer thing. It's like, well, these records, right? The self-portrait, which I'm going to put some on the screen now. So and there's links below and everything. So let this be a signal booster for that. But then in the way that Taraka has signal boosted her own authenticity, it's like, go just do that for yourself. And when you adorn, like you wear the rage piece, like it's charged with that runic, powerful self-authenticity energy. And I believe in the power of like garments and like patterns.
For sure.
You know this, how I've sent that, and seeing you like preparing the Welcome to Paradise Lost on like one of the entry rugs I created or whatever, blah. It's and so then I'll 2034. I'm gonna cook this out. I want, because you'll do these things, I'm sure, in Rage Piece HQ or whatever, like in like a dedicated lecture hall, like wherever the physical brick and mortar thing, in that sort of paean to tactility, there'll be like flying cars and shit, and they'll just be Rage Piece HQ. And in 2034, I'll just be like, hey, all the way back in blah, like 2021, fist bump. What did I tell you? Okay. So, and then that's as Matt just docks his like flying car, and it's like, yeah, there you go. What I miss.
I see Rage Piece HQ being more like a dude ranch with like horses.
Okay. All right, I can dig it. Yeah. Hey, multiple locations.
Future primitive. I think that's the future. I think we're going to go back to like Little House on the Prairie. I'm serious.
Okay.
I think there'll be a faction of society that goes the flying car route, and then I think another faction will be like super Little House on the Prairie style.
And then those really daring motherfuckers flying horses, right? Come on.
Oof.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah, that's
horses,
the Pegasus vibe. Hell yeah!
All right, let's
really enlightened horses.
Oh yeah, the ones flying just buoyed by their own Pegasus-tastic selfhood, you know.
Right.
We started on selfhood and literally ended on selfhood. I dig it, lady.
Perfect.
Go and have
Thank
yourself
you,
a lovely.
Albert.
My absolute pleasure. Then let it be the first of many, huh?
Yeah, totally. I'm down.
Right.
And thank you for this wonderful communication tool you've bestowed me with. I appreciate it, and I will use it in good service. And yeah, anytime you want to talk, like let me know.
Sure.
You know? Happy to help.
Now that it's all in place, we can do things like, when it's a year from now, blah, we'll just be like, hey, 1 year of Welcome to Paradise Lost, let's riff it. Or, 20th anniversary of Threshold Dances, we can jump in and be like, da-da-da. So, and concurrently with like this Taraka thing, I've got obviously, like you saw at Prince Rama, that's like the museum kind of side. But it's again, like how you sent that thing with Bandcamp, it's like, Prince Rama has come from the dead to tell you things. I love that. And why not let it be this thing that is this element which people will probably they may come across like Taraka, then that tunes, it's all part of this one experience. And
totally. Prince Rama is still like my favorite band, so I love Prince Rama. There's no disrespect, you know.
I'm sorry, but Taraka's just that a little bit better. Just saying. Lady Jane.
There's a lot of people that like they like a lot of people. Oh, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people have been like I like this better than Prince Rama. We're like, well, it's not as good as Prince Rama. I'm like, why do you care? Like, it's just listen to them both. Who cares?
It is. It seriously just is. So speaking of the isness, what is ahead for the day for you? I'm sure it's probably like nighttime, bedtime,
dinner. You know, us vampires, we gotta go.
Yeah,
have some blood.
Just maybe less. So you had like that whole last week. It was just the whole school. You just drained all the children. I think maybe go easy. Old folks home. We don't do children so much. Okay. You know, it's bad karma. But old people. Okay. Yeah, old people. They're already on the way out, so I don't feel as guilty. Listen, old person blood orgy. Next album. All good.
I'll let you do the album art.
I will. Okay, let's fucking do it. Well, right. That's
much
it.
Love.
Much love. Take it easy, boy. Love you lots. Bye.
Bye.
You don't need to the gardens and found jungles.